Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming. My name is Killjoy, and I am back with a Disney Classic Games collection that I forgot that I even bought for the Switch. I thought I was done with collections, but here is another one. I've actually got the physical case in my hand right this second, and this is a collection of The Jungle Book, Aladdin, and Lion King. And actually comes with a manual for the Lion King, which is kind of cool. But just so you guys have an understanding, this is a Digital Eclipse one. It's done by Nighthawks Interactive. And like a lot of these collections, as time going on, they get more and more stuff. This one has a museum mode. It has a watch mode, which is very, very cool. I'll get to that in a minute. It's got all the soundtracks. And it has 16-bit versions of the console games. It has handheld. Aladdin, to be fair, is probably the game that gets the most out of this. So you've got a museum, which is very cool. You've got the making of. There's a bunch of documentaries here, which is very, very nice. I love to see that. We've got a game art. You can have a look at the various different things. It tells you about them as well. You can have a slideshow. You can advance through all of this. So you've got 158 of those on the cutting room floor. All parts of that. You've got movie art as well. So it shows you like stuff from the actual films, like what they use as reference and all that. We also have the soundtrack, which is obviously great because the soundtrack for these games is pretty awesome. And it has it for all of them. You've got the Sega version, the Nintendo version, and I believe the handheld versions as well. Or is it just the console versions, which is very, very nice. So, all in all, we've got some very nice content just before we've even got to the games, so you like to see it in these collections. So Aladdin does get the... switch this back to console games a second. Aladdin gets the SNES version. It gets the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis version. We then get the Final Cut version of it. A lot of this is the Genesis stuff, or the Mega Drive stuff. We've got the demo version, and we've got the Japanese version. I've not really touched any of this really, other than like the regular versions of the games. You also do get the handheld versions, but I'm going to be very honest, the handheld versions of most of these games do kind of suck. They don't play particularly well. What I will show off though is a little bit of the SNES version and a little bit of the Mega Drive version, so you can see that there are differences. This one is made by Capcom, and the other one is done by Virgin Interactive. I'm not sure why they ended up with two different versions. It's not often that you get that, but at the time, I guess it was whoever had the contracts to those games. Anyway, so here's Disney's Aladdin for the SNES. I'll be honest, this is not a game that I have a lot of experience with. However, I can see what they were trying to go for here. It definitely feels a bit odd to play, but that might just be because I'm not used to it. But this is a lot more about platforming. And like getting around and doing flippy dippies. It's not a bad looking game, though I will say some of the enemy placement in this game is kind of a bit rubbish, but you know, it was the time. You can also run. These archer guys are kind of placed in some awful positions, but you can see fairly competent platformer. It also looks really nice. I like the trips you can do off stuff. I think that's kind of what I like about it. It's very momentum based, and that seems to be the key with some of these games I've noticed, as we'll get onto that with the Lion King later on. But yeah, you can see, pretty good, right? And also worth mentioning, there is a rewind feature. Always nice. There's also game options in this, which you can save, reset the game, which is great because some of these older games are quite tough. There are screen options. We've got stretch the screen, we've got sharp screen, which is probably how it used to look like. We've got full screen. Whoops, we also have filters, which I've not really looked at. As you can see, usual affair, CRT I believe in that instance. You've got a monitor and an LCD filter, which I don't know why you want to give it the Game Boy look, but you can. It's there to, while I appreciate screen features, I very rarely use it myself. And then there's border on or off. I keep it on because I think border's better than having a look at just random blackness. There are also controls here, shows you jump, throw fruit, run, glide with the rug, all this sort of stuff. And so that's that game basically. Like right now, I would say that the Aladdin SNES version and then this version those two games are actually very good. They're very competent. Seems like it. This one's the one I've played most out of the Disney games I've played. This is one of the ones I had as a kid. I really like this game. I think this game is really fun. Very different though. You actually have a sword that you can fight with. And this game can be tough because sometimes it's hard to see what's coming, but for the most part. Aladdin does jump kind of weirdly though. That's the only weird. He does like a weird jump. Again, momentum. If you're running in a direction, and chuck apples at this dude. Have some apples, mate. There you go. You get a lot of apples. There, your projectile. Your sword's your. I think you can swing up as well. Don't know what that ability's for, but there we go. But yeah, this game is very, very cool. I've pretty much got fairly far into it. I usually get to the same spot and then get stuck. Because the game does get very hard because of that error. But again, fairly straightforward. But this is the one I think a lot of people will always talk about when they talk about Aladdin. And I can kind of see why. It's a solid game. Anyway, we've got other games to look at. Again, screen controls, all that good stuff. Right, if we go to game options here. So that's the Aladdin games. I'm not going to go through all the other things here because they're all the same Sega version. But they have different tweaks about them. Which is cool. I'm glad all the versions are included. Lion King, I'll be honest. A game that I have played. I don't really have the patience for Lion King, particularly like a lot. Both versions. This is one cool thing I do like about this. Both versions, to me, from what I've played, are very identical, just running on different hardware. I'm just gonna show off the Nintendo version for now. But what you're seeing here, this first level is definitely identical on both versions. This game is very momentum based in terms of how you move, especially on this first level, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. So Simba's got this jump. Oh, like that. Didn't even know you had a roll. How do you... Oh, the scream is the roll. Okay. Anyway, so you move fast, you jump. However, if you happen to do this, where you're not moving a lot, you get a much weaker jump, and it's a lot harder to... Like as you can see, it takes time getting used to, and Simba moves far too fast for how the screen is. This game is difficult. I'm not saying it's like impossible or anything, but it's just difficult because you've got to get used to a very different platforming momentum. You know, I've got about 4 levels into it. Like I've spent in the past, I've given it more patience than I have right now. But as far as it goes, it's definitely one of those things where I'm just like, yep. You know, it is kind of fun. I do recommend either version as well because either version is they're pretty much the same from what I can tell or from what I can remember. And it's just I think you just get a slightly different. So you can have different sound font and you're gonna have different graphics based on the hardware preferences. But yeah, like actually kind of a cool game. I do like it. I suck at it, but I do like it. We've got a hyena fight. Ow. Wow. Got there you go, bye Mr. Hyena. Which I think brings us on to the monkey level. I can't remember. Yeah, they're everyone's favourite. So this level is intentionally made to be kind of awful. So definitely look up a guide if you're gonna do it. The music's great though, so we can just listen to that, right? But you get the idea, right? So that's Lion King. In this instance, you've only got 3 Lion King games. You've got the SNES, and then you've got the Mega Drive version and the console version. There's no extras. Oh no, there's a Japanese version as well, which usually means it's either harder or not as hard. So you got the Game Boy Color and Game Boy version. Now we got lastly the Jungle Book. Now, Jungle Book. I grew up with the SNES version. The Sega version I have not really played, and I will say this again right now, the handheld version is kind of bad. So, again, just show off a little bit of this so you guys have an idea of, you know, what the game is and how it looks. Alright, so the Nintendo version of Jungle Book, the game that I have played. So this game's interesting. Like, it's actually semi-competent at being a game, but the issue is that you move unbelievably fast and Mowgli jumps unbelievably far. And yeah, I have the physical cartridge of this, so I've played it back in the day. I can't remember how to play this game particularly well, if I'm honest, but it's still a fairly competent platformer. One that I think is worth checking out. It's a long game as well, and it's hard. But then all games back then were pretty difficult, right? Like, let's not pretend that they weren't. Obviously, you've got save states, so you can save it, make your life easier. There's my little elephant friend. Hello. I haven't watched Jungle Book in years, if I'm honest, but yeah, I do like this game. It's just you've got to be prepared for blind jumps. It's a lot of those. So that's this one. I won't go through anymore because, like I said, the levels are quite long. But definitely one of the games that I do kind of enjoy on here. I don't remember much. I never played the Sega version of this, so we'll have a quick jump in that. So we can see what it's like. Let's go. Bare Necessities, what's that? Jungle by Day. So this is what the Game Boy version is based on, I think. Gotta find 10 gems. Does that count? That's a compass. Oops, and yes, the Game Boy version is based on this. Looking at it because, look at that, it's got 6 minutes to find gems. Ow, there's a monkey throwing things at me. Ah! Take that, monkey. This seems fairly competent in terms of how it controls, that's for sure. Like, it's for a game that I've not played. Right. How come you're not dying, monkey? You're taking all my health away from me, but you're not dying. And that was like a banana. Oh, I see. You've got limited banana. It says 99 bananas, and yet I'm throwing them, and then the number ain't going down. Yeah, this isn't a game that I have much experience with, but I'm not going to stand here and be like, this is not the version to play. I have no idea. Also, the animations in it on the swinging and stuff are very cool. I just don't know what I'm doing, because I've never, like, properly played it. Thanks, Mr. Elephant Man. Let's go up here and have a look, shall we? Up into the trees. There's a gem. That. What is that? It's fruit. There's all sorts of things going on. Ah! I can tell I'm absolutely terrible at this game. I will say though, trying to jump near the edge of the ledge, it does seem like your thing gets eaten. But yeah, there we go. Like, I know that's not the best demonstration, but there you go. There's all of the games on here. A fairly competent collection. I will say that, look, if you're going to buy this, only some of the games are good here. I think the Jungle Book one seem okay. Aladdin seems okay. Lion King, I think you kind of got to get used to it. I don't think any of the handheld versions are worth the money and the time. Everything else, though, like the fact that you can watch playthroughs, you can watch a playthrough and jump in at any point you want, which is really cool. Old cheats also work, I'm pretty sure, as well. But all in all, it's not a bad little collection. I know that originally it was like, I want to say it was like Aladdin and Lion King, or it was Jungle Book and Lion King or something, and then they added something else in. But I managed to get a physical version of this. I don't know if it's still available. But if you are looking to play some classic 16-bit Disney games, along with the fact that they now have the Afternoon Collection out, you can get pretty much all of the classic 16-bit and 8-bit Disney games together, and some of them are really good and really worth your time. Maybe not all of them, but it's something to look into. Anyway, that's going to do it for me today then, guys. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you like the video, hit the like button, helps out a ton. And if you want to see more content like this, collections, other Switch stuff related, whatever it might be, hit subscribe. And until next video, I will see you then.